Hi, I'm Phil Constantine, and this is Travels with Phil. This video is about Central Mississippi, life and death in Philadelphia, Mississippi, to be precise. Philadelphia, Mississippi is about 80 miles northeast of Jackson. In the 2010 census, there was a little under 8,000 people that lived in the area. Now, if you go back far enough, it was once the heart of the Choctaw Nation until about the 1830s when the Indian Removal Act came into effect, and most of the American Indians were removed from the American Southeast. The city itself, Philadelphia, was incorporated in about 1903. And while it is a small town, there are several things you can see in town, such as the Marty Stuart Museum, Geyser Falls Water Theme Park, several things related to the Choctaws, and some historical events as well. Starting off with Marty Stuart, he is a very famous country western singer, and he has an amazing collection of country western items. Can't get into all the details here, but he is in the process of building a museum, and by the time you watch this, it may be completed. And just all kinds of collectibles, everything from Patsy Cline's, actually what got him started was Patsy Cline's makeup kit. So he's got all kinds of stuff, clothes, the original black suit worn by Johnny Cash, all kinds of things. So it should make for a very interesting collection. Now, something else that Philadelphia, Mississippi is known for, you may not actually know, happened actually in Philadelphia. And that happened back in 1964 when the Ku Klux Klan killed 3 civil rights workers. What happened was James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner were part of what was called the Freedom Summer or Freedom Riders. They came to Mississippi to help African Americans register to vote. There was an organization a small organization in the city called the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, and they decided that they were going to try to disrupt the efforts to register the African Americans to vote. They burned down the Mount Zion Church, an African American church, and when these 3 young men came into town, they actually came up from the little town of Meridian. They'd come up to talk to the people who were in the church, and they were trying to get them to file charges, etc., and stand up against the folks. And in the process, the Klan themselves found these young men, waylaid them, killed them, burned their car actually, and buried them. And eventually, a few days later, the vehicle was found. One person gave tips to the FBI, and eventually, about 2 months later, the bodies were found. Now, the state of Mississippi was unable to or unwilling to prosecute, I should say, any of the 13 some odd people who were arrested because of this. Eventually, the FBI came in and they charged people, and 7 people were convicted of civil rights violations. But no one was ever found guilty of the murders until 2005, when one man was found guilty of 3 counts of manslaughter, and he died in prison after serving 13 years of a 60-year sentence. The 1988 movie called Mississippi Burning with Gene Hackman was loosely based on this particular incident, and that did happen here. And the pictures you're seeing here are of the spot where the car was found, old pictures of the car, old pictures of the church and the church itself. And a lot of the signs that they have in the area that are out in public are stolen on a regular basis. So some hard feelings may still exist amongst a small part of the community there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Another spot out there, and this goes back to the Choctaw Heritage. The Choctaws believe that they've been in the area for maybe anywhere from 15 to 2,000 years, but it also depends on which stories you listen to. Like my tribe, the Cherokees, Choctaws have different stories that they tell. Some people believe that they were led to this area by a prophet, and other people believe that they were created here. Well, one of the most important parts of the Choctaw area is called the Naniwia, and I am no good at pronunciation, so I may have pronounced that wrong. But there's a large mound. Now, the mound is right by the side of the road. You can come up to it. Now, at the bottom, it's about an acre in size. At the top, it's about a quarter of an acre. Goes up about 40 to 50 feet up on top, and you got quite a view of the surrounding area. Well, this is called Mother Mound to the Choctaw. Now, some people say it means leaning hill. And in other cases, people believe this is where they set up, where they established their community. But the more unusual story is that they believe that a nearby cave is where the Choctaws were actually created. In fact, one story says that this cave is where the Muskogees Creeks, the Cherokees, Chickasaws, and Choctaws all were created. In fact, the story says the Muskogees came up first. They went up on the mound, dried themselves. When they were dry enough to move, they went off to the east. The Cherokees came out next. They dried themselves off, went off toward where the Muskogees had gone and lost their trail, and then they turned north. After them came the Chickasaws, who followed near to the Cherokee. And when the Choctaws finally emerged out of the cave from the underground worlds, they stayed basically in the same general area that they were, and that's why they were developed here. Now, eventually, as I said earlier, the Choctaws were removed from the area. Some of them stayed. Eventually, a reservation area was established here, and in fact, the mound here was given back to the Choctaws in 2008. Now, they also, the Choctaws themselves, again, have a very nice cultural center there. They have a museum as well, and again, they have their own resort in the community. So those are just a couple of things that you can see here in the fairly nice nowadays town of Philadelphia, Mississippi. And it's like most small towns across America, has a little bit of mixture of new, little bit of mixture of old. A lot of good people out there. Some history they wouldn't like to remember, some history they are very proud of. I thank you very much for watching. You're welcome to leave comments down below as long as they are family friendly. And I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And you can do that by pressing the button over in the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much for watching.